This is Minimum Viable Agile, and today we're talking about Scrum. More importantly, we're looking at the question whether do you need the entire Scrum framework to start reaping some of its benefits? Little spoiler there, the answer is no. You can implement parts of it and already get beautiful benefits. What is Scrum? Scrum is an agile framework that comes from the IT world and that caters to bring agile workings to teams of people working together to generate value. It's something that's said definitely to be applicable to everything. There's the classic Scrum Master training example of you can build a house with agile Scrum methodologies. And yes, that's true. But practically speaking, it's also a lot. If you have an existing team that is already working and bringing value to the company, churning out their software or whatever they're making, stopping them in their tracks and telling them, wait, we're going to save you, we're going to improve your lives by adding 5 hours of meetings each week to your daily grind. That's not something that's going to go over easy, and it will make your transition more difficult. It will generate resistance with them, and it will not make for a happy start. On top of that, if you're trying to bring Scrum to teams that are not IT teams, you're definitely also going to find that some of the things, some of the artifacts that you're working with, or some of the ceremonies that you're holding just don't match very well with what they're doing. And then again, there's no sense in pushing the entire thing on there. There's small steps that you can take that will reap the benefits without actually pushing everything onto them. So you don't need to implement all of Scrum, but you do need to keep some basics in mind. There's 2 basics. The first part is the idea of Scrum exists to deliver value. That's definitely one of the basic things to keep in mind. And then change can help with that value. Change can improve the amount of value that we bring or the reliability. But change in itself is not value. Change is not part of the bottom line, what your teams are working for. Your teams are there to maintain or to bring a set of software to the company where they're working. They're not there to change the way of working. It's important, it's important to improve, but it will never be the key activity of the team. The second part is Kaizen. Kaizen is essentially continuous improvement. It's the idea of setting up a cycle where you look at what's going on in your teams, what's going well and what's going bad, finding together solutions that you can test to see if they improve the situation, having a test period, and then returning to the start of the cycle where you again look at your situation and check, is this better? Is this our way of working, or do we want to fix something? Do we want to change something? Way of working, or even just practicalities of is this the way we want to do certain things? With that in mind, there is one essential and one optional Scrum ceremony, to put it like that. The essential one links completely into the basic point of Kaizen. It's the retrospective. The retrospective is a meeting where it's a recurring meeting. It's important to say it's a recurring meeting where we together as a team look at what happened in the last period, try to find out what we're happy and unhappy about, and then formulate points of improvement that, if all goes well, we will test during the next iterative period. Practically speaking, you book a recurring meeting every 2 or 3 weeks, and then you get into the habit of, as a team, going into that room, saying goodbye to the daily grind. Normally everybody is deep into work, trying to fix some of the things. We don't make time to get out of the practicalities, out of the work we're usually doing, and really look at how we're doing it. And so the retrospective puts a halt to that, says we are going to look at what we're doing, how we're doing it, and we're going to try to formulate a better way of doing it. My favorite moment of the week to do that is a Friday afternoon. Everybody gets relaxed. Everybody leaves their rank at the door, to borrow from the army in that regard. And we just talk about what's happening. It's an important habit building concept. It helps the team work as a team. The repetition makes sure that we keep getting better at just the retrospective in itself and implementing some of the key principles there. And it fosters a climate, or it should if you're doing it right, of openness and sharing, where everybody gets into the habit of, instead of eating their problems, instead of I had this thing go very bad and I'm upset about it, you share it with the group, and as a group you try to find ways to improve it and ways to deal better with that issue. On top of that, after that, you have a period of testing your hypothesis, seeing if we do this in a different way, will this actually help us? Will this improve our way of working? And that's that iterative nature, where every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on your cadence, you also make a fixed spot where nobody has to think about, is it happening or not? It's always there, it's always happening. It's that thing that happens every couple of weeks. You sit down, you relax, and you talk about how to improve things. Another important point is the giving it to the team. It's a moment where the team can establish and can grow into taking the power in their own hands of their way of working and their well-being. It's often when you come to an established team that they come from a structure where there's a management position who they tell their problems to, and then they fix it, and sometimes they don't, and then they have to live with it. One of the benefits, one of the great points to foster in those retrospectives is to stop that, to make sure that they observe their own problems and fix their own problems. Once you have a solution that as a group you thought of, and as a group you always have a bunch of people coming up with a solution instead of just one very smart person, which will always result in a better solution ultimately, because at some point they will surprise you with how they fix their problems. It fosters them fixing their own problems instead of others fixing them. And you do need to keep an eye on whether it's actually getting executed. But beyond that, the team grows into self-reliance, self-resilience. Because ultimately you don't want the retrospective to stop if some of the key roles are not there. It's something that they can do by themselves. The other one is the stand-up. The stand-up is an optional one. It depends on how your team communication is. But even if you already have good team communication, it's very worthy. It's very essential. It's very valuable to put that recurrent daily meeting into place, where your entire team comes together and they share, on the one hand, what happened yesterday, what's happening today, and the problems that they're experiencing, so that again they get into that habit of openness and sharing, so that if they have a problem, they know that it's not just them who has to fix it, but they can open it to the team and the entire team will fix it, or the Scrum Master or PO, if those are roles that you're actually using at that point. The 3 questions on the one hand, but on the other hand, you also get a strong opportunity for team building. A lot of these things build on comfort and on the team being comfortable with each other, on a psychological safety of sharing these things with each other and knowing that no negative consequences will happen. To the contrary, fixes will result. And these daily stand-ups are another opportunity for that. They're sharing, but you can also attach a little moment where, before time runs out, you get that little Are there any varias? Is there anyone who wants to share anything top of mind about what they did yesterday, the book they're reading, the things that are going on in their lives? And again, when you're just introducing this, it feels a bit weird because people are not used to that. We're used to this stern way of working and pushing on. But practically speaking, you want a resilient team that bonds together, that functions as a whole, and that when things get difficult, they'll be there for each other. They'll band together and they'll make sure that they fix it. If you have a team that's happily sharing a part of their life together, a part of their private sphere also, you get a stronger team. You'll have a happier bunch of people that are more resilient when things get tough and when things need to be fixed. The stand-up in that regard, even though you might say the communication is already there, the alignment is there, and we don't need to necessarily facilitate that extra, the stand-up brings the moment where every day, also on a fixed moment, also a fixed time slot, 15 minutes, not too long, the team gets to be a team and gets to work on that cohesion while doing their day-to-day job. An essential part, but if you need to choose, put the retrospective there first, and then from there you can build up and add the daily stand-up and the other ones when the need arises. So in short, these are the essential things that, if you're starting to implement Scrum, will help you get there. It doesn't stop there, obviously. The retrospective, once it's in place and once everybody's talking about what's happening and the problems that they're experiencing, is the platform on which you can build to offer more of the framework when they need it. At some point you might recognize issues that they're having and you might propose to them. One of the things you might consider is this solution from the Scrum framework, where we put that and that in place, and we add this artifact, a backlog, for example, to our way of working. This is how we deal with it. This is the benefits that we reap. And then from that retrospective, the team can decide to try out for a limited part of time, a limited portion of time, if they want this way of working, if this will work for them. Ultimately, an important one to keep in mind, it needs to be good enough for now and safe enough to try. And as long as it is, it doesn't matter that much if not everybody necessarily sees the benefit of it, or if not everybody feels like it's the right thing to do. But you can put it there, you can just say, don't worry about it, we'll try it. If you don't like it after a month or after 2 weeks, 1 or 2 cycles is usually good in a retrospective, we can still stop it. Gives you the chance to, in the middle, evaluate, and in the end then say yes or no. Or maybe they don't mention it at all anymore and then it can just stay. And it allows you to at least get that benefit of Kaizen and that benefit of focus onto the core values of what the company is doing, delivering value for the company. That's it. One of the things that I'm most curious about right now is what your pitfalls are. What is your favorite Scrum ritual? I always say ritual, but it's ceremony. What's your favorite Scrum ceremony to put into place? How did you go at it when you tried this? And what were some of the pitfalls that you experienced? Drop it in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.